Hello, Greensburg Newsites. I am here with the new owners of DV8, Patricia Elliott and Kim Rentler. Hello, ladies.
Hi there.
Hello.
And I'm really, really glad, I have to say, that somebody bought this place and is continuing the tradition, because this town desperately needs a place like this. Okay, so you guys are a couple,
Correct.
and how long have you been married?
It'll be a year on September 10th.
Awesome. Are you guys from Greensburg?
I'm originally from Jeanette.
I'm originally from North Huntington, but I lived in Pittsburgh for up till about 3.5 years ago, and then moved back to the area as my mom still lives in North Huntington.
Okay. So how did you find out about DV8? Were you guys coming here when it was owned by Terry?
Well, ironically, we routinely never get to see each other because I have a business and Kim has a business, so I'm constantly texting her from court saying, meet me for a cup of coffee. And so one day, Kim just said, well, why don't we go to DV8? I'd like to ask them to put some of my photographs on the wall. So we came in and was just chatting with Terry about nothing, at which point she told me she was closing. And the wheels started turning, and I took our coffees and pastries outside and said, you're not going to believe this, but DV8 is closing. And I asked Terry if she was going to sell it, and she said, well, yeah, but she wasn't sure that she wanted to open up her book stand just to anybody. And so we talked about it over the weekend and said, let's go back in on Tuesday and just kind of get an idea of where she's at with this. And that was the beginning of this beautiful adventure.
She was really adamant about finding a buyer or someone to take over that wanted to keep her vision going. And that sort of appealed to both of us. Greensburg, I think, is not really culturally diverse and not creatively diverse as a whole.
Right.
And, there are 2 other coffee houses in Greensburg, and I thought that DV8 just was very unique and kind of stood alone. Aside from being on the opposite end of town, it also kind of attracted the more creative set of people. And she was very adamant when she said she was selling, and even to give information, that she just wanted somebody to continue her vision. And that appealed to both of us, because we always thought DV8 was great because it was so unique.
And
Yeah.
we had been sort of kicking around some ideas for a long time, because a couple times for maybe Christmas or Kim's birthday or Valentine's Day, I would want to rent a space to show her work. And there was nothing in Greensburg. I could find one gallery, and I called it several times, and the number rang, but nobody ever called me back. So we had already been thinking about this, and we'd really just given up because we looked at space, and to buy more property just was not appealing to us. So we had just probably maybe a month or 2 prior said, well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. And then
this
we
happened.
stumbled into DV8.
And who doesn't love coffee? So.
Right. Well, I'm really glad you guys decided to continue this, because this town definitely needs. This has always been like a beacon of light for me in Dullsville. So,
No offense, Greensburg. but
yeah.
I agree. I remember when it opened, I think I was still, years ago. I think I was still I wasn't in the DA's office. I was just in private practice, and I was so excited that something's more bohemian, more off the beaten path, more avant-garde, just unusual was opening.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of like Seattle meets the Beatnik generation.
Yeah. So what other things are you guys hoping to do here? How are you going to make this place kind of your own?
Well, we'll continue with Terry. What Terry started, and obviously we have a lot of new art that you can see. We've reached out to several artists, and that hasn't been an issue at all. I know a lot of photographers in the area, but one of the things that and it's all like local artists all the way from Pittsburgh to Seven Springs to Bedford to obviously Greensburg and Jeanette. But one of the things that we talked a lot about when we were designing the website, was that we wanted it to be a space. And by space, I mean we want people to feel comfortable to come in here and just say they're a book club and they want to have a place to regularly meet. Mm-hmm. We want to offer up that space. Maybe it's a few weeks back, I think the Democratic Party had or Voice of Westmoreland sponsored a canvassing event, and they wanted a place to meet where somebody from Pittsburgh came to train them on how to talk about healthcare or whatever. And it was, it's a nice space where people can feel comfortable. We want a diverse group of people. And so we opened, and I know Terry did that as well, but we really want to pursue that where, even if it's a game night, we've had a lot of people suggest different things,
We both tried to be here as much as possible despite having other businesses because we want to see what people want, because we have our vision and what we want to create, but we also want to be responsive to the needs of the community. And when we were working on the website, Kim is the photographer, I'm more the written word person, and she said, well, can you just write something for the website? So I said, DV8 is about space, and so if you look at our website, it's all about that. What's really been interesting for me to see is when people come in, we haven't done much different with the interior, aside from just cleaning things up, a facelift we call it, but everybody just says it's just so spacious. It just feels so much more
It
open.
does.
They're using that word.
And they use the word vibe a lot.
That's what I was thinking.
Librarians, older librarians come in and say, there's just something about the vibe here, something about the energy here. And again, haven't done a whole lot physically, brought in a couple new chairs and painted the walls and redid the floors, but it's about space and to create a space for musicians, artists, poets, just
Writers,
Joes.
whatever, yeah.
A woman came in here today. She was, I guess a psychiatric nurse, and she just came in here to work. Shortly after that, a man came in and started playing the guitar, and she said, "This is my new favorite place. I'm going to come every day," because she just felt comfortable. And we, there's often ruckus laughter here. I think you can be very bodacious in here, to say the least. I think people just feel like they can be home here.
Yeah. And the other thing we want to take advantage of, we do have a back outdoor space.
Right.
It needs some work, but one of the ideas we were throwing around is maybe having an espresso and cigar night.
Oh.
So, people can come, have a cigar, have BYOB, and get maybe price out a cigar and a shot of espresso or something. So we're trying to think of different things like that. Again, space where people can sit in the back. That may not happen until the spring, I don't know, but we're really, looking at different things that people have asked us about, because people that went in the back said, "Oh, this is great. Can I bring a cigar and smoke out here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care."
Right.
I've been coming here 15 years. I didn't know there was a back patio.
I didn't either.
One of the things I've started to pay attention to just this week, because I am always on my phone, always on Facebook, always. I almost never ever see anybody in here on their phone, and it just occurred to me this week.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I'm like
Interesting.
an avid Facebook poster. I post every
Interesting
morning, and I haven't
observation.
had time to do that. But never do I see people just sitting here looking at their phones.
Yeah.
The other thing we did too was put some chalk outside, just
Yeah, I
to
saw
see who would
that.
do that.
Kids love it.
Kids
That's
love
really
it, but not. I've seen adults
Oh yeah.
drawing that too.
Yeah.
And one, we were open in the evenings for Greensburg had a wine sip and shop walk thing. I can never say the name right, but whatever. And we were closing up, and we came out, and there was like "I love DV8" all written down on the sidewalk. I thought that
We
was
didn't
really
do it.
cool. And we had I hadn't paid attention. We were actually very busy that night, and that's the other thing we're going to do too. We're sort of looking at our hours. We kept similar hours to what Terry had done at the old DV8, and we get everybody wants to offer a suggestion, which we welcome. But we are looking at, should we be open on Monday? I don't know. Maybe we should. But one of the things we will do is in the evenings, we don't have evening hours currently as published, but if Greensburg is having something going on, we'll stay open. I believe next Tuesday there's a private group coming in for Feeding the Spirit, which is a nonprofit in Greensburg. They're going to use our space Tuesday night. I said to her last night, let's just keep our doors open.
So it'll be kind of.
We'll announce it, hey, DV8's open until 8 tonight.
Yeah.
Until we see, and we'll see how it goes, Thursdays seem like a good night because some of the merchants are open later, and maybe through the holidays we have, some evening time or hours.
And Kim's career was in marketing, so she's really good at analyzing the data that we have and figuring out, how
Does
to
it make
helpful.
sense?
Yeah.
Because obviously from a business perspective it has to make sense, but we do want to be accessible, and we want to try things, to see if they work out.
That's cool. I know you guys have, like, you mentioned the guitar out there.
Mhm.
That's really cool.
It's the house
That's
guitar.
mine.
That's really nice.
If I only knew how to play it.
And what I've noticed is people are afraid to touch it, and then
Mhm.
when they every once in a while somebody will just touch it, and I'll say, "Go ahead and play,"
Yeah.
and that's all they want is an invitation. And
Yeah.
the man today, he was
Okay.
probably
People have
he was
used
probably
it.
7 years old, and I said,
Right.
"You can play it," and he said, "What's that a tune?" I said, "There's a tuner." He's like, "Really?" And he tuned it and he played it.
Tuned and played it, yeah.
I like that. That's really cool.
Mhm.
Music at any time.
We've
That's
got some
exactly what
we've
we
got some
want.
drums
Yeah.
in the window display.
Oh,
that's the
Sort
other
of went
thing
by
we
the
want.
wayside. We haven't finished
That's
it.
the other thing we wanna
had a
do.
vision, and like it's still in our head, but we just haven't finished it.
That's the other thing we want to do too, is we definitely want to do like a drum circle or something, some drumming.
That's great.
Which, you know, I think Terry knows, her son knows somebody, and then a friend of Patricia's and ours, Debbie, she knows somebody, so we're going to try and get that going too, because I
Awesome.
think I think a lot of people would be interested in that. It's so
Well, I run a drum circle
meditative.
page, actually.
Oh, do you? Great.
Really?
Then
Well,
might
then
have
you
a
probably know
connection.
somebody.
I haven't had anybody that wanted to drum for a while, but
We've tried to do things incrementally. So first we tried to do the facelift, and then we worked on mastering coffee, and
Yeah.
then we wanted to find local bakers and local bakers only, which is why so far we don't have bagels yet, and we don't have black and white cookies, much to my dismay. But both of our bakers are local commercial bakers. Then we
That was
started.
my next question, if you
Yes.
guys were gonna have like pastries and
Yes,
stuff.
then
yeah.
we
Yeah.
do. They're actually
Right.
almost all sold
From
out.
Jeanette.
And then we worked on the art. So now that we've purchased the sound system, now we can focus on music. So.
Yeah, we are, the local bakers both are from Jeanette. They have commercial baking places. We are gonna have bagels. It looks like we'll probably have to go to Bagel Factory, which is still.
As local
I mean,
as we
it's
can
local
get.
as-
Mhm.
And they're, you know, we want quality
Right.
bagels. And then we're also looking at gluten-free and vegan. I did find a gluten-free. It looks like we're gonna pull the trigger on that.
In Murraysville.
We
So
had,
we're trying so hard to make this Westmoreland County.
Sure.
Yeah.
So our bakers are, one is the old Laura V's. I'm not sure if you were in town when it was a local restaurant. It's now Franco's in Jeanette.
Okay.
So she's one of our bakers, and then the other is called Sweet Tarts, which is also in Jeanette. But we're very happy with them, and I think
Yeah,
that our
they're doing a
patrons are
great
very
job.
happy with them so far.
yeah, because we're
Awesome.
not zoned to cook, so we can't cook.
Right,
We've
right.
had people ask us for lunch, and we don't have a
Right.
ventilation system, so, I mean, clearly, we're, you know, legally not allowed to cook, so
Yeah.
we're just trying to find options. I mean, bagel could be a lunchtime item
Sure.
if we had cream cheese and different peanut butter or
Exactly.
whatever,
Yeah.
so.
Or even pre-made sandwiches or something.
Yeah,
like
we-
that
Yeah.
at some
We've
point.
talked about that because everybody wants that. Because I think
Mhm.
people like coming here at lunchtime, but really, like, I'm so caffeinated and sugared right now
Yeah.
that I just want something
Me
salty.
too.
So back in the day, there was a woman that used to come around the courthouse, and we called her the lunch lady, and she just came with this big cart, and she had sandwiches and salads and that. So if we could find somebody that's licensed, commercially
Yeah.
licensed to do that, we would have those offerings. But that'll be, I guess, once we have everything
Yeah.
else.
Right.
It's
But
been a
now
bit of
we're
a challenge, but.
now we're doing the scheduling. Now we're starting to put our events on the calendar.
Right.
Mhm.
And well, I'm really glad you guys are doing music again, because this was,
Yes.
there's
Mhm.
so few venues in
Right.
town for that.
It was the last
Yeah.
thing, not because it was the least important, but just because we had to get the coffee shop up and running. So.
Yeah, so now we're focusing on music, you know, local music, original music, and as I mentioned, you know, we'll check out the keynote.
Mhm.
So for our grand opening, our hope is to have a schedule of musicians throughout the day that, you know, would be willing to play and get some exposure, even if they're out
Right.
on the sidewalk, you know, that's cool.
Sure.
And truly purchasing the sound system, like I think
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
very subconsciously sort of put it off, but now it's done. So
Intimidated a little.
now it's ordered. It'll be here early next week. So
Nice.
now it's time to
Nice.
fill that need.
Nice to
Mhm.
plug everything in now.
We just
Yeah.
haven't quite figured out how to find the musicians without, we don't want to just have an open call. 'Cause-
Mhm.
Well, we've had a lot of people stop in,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they have mentioned that they've played and they've left numbers and so on and so forth, so
Okay.
we'll figure it out,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, very cool. Is this the first time you guys have ventured into this area of buying a venue like this?
Well, I'm a lawyer. She's a
I do photography.
retired
and-
marketer.
Yeah, retired from the business corporate world, and I've run locally. I've run a business for 3 years doing photography as well as photo archiving, working with some historical societies and video editing and things like that. So, but yeah, from like this type of
This type
retail
of thing.
almost, yeah, it's very different.
We joked a bit. in the early days about Lucy and Ethel running a
Running a
coffee
coffee
house.
house, yeah.
But it's been a fascinating educational experience, and Kim's a very, very quick learner and gets very focused, so she's mastered just about everything in
The Bristol,
a month.
Wow,
Bristol world.
That's
Mhm.
impressive. That's,
Mhm.
that's a big project.
Yeah.
Well, okay, thanks you guys. So the
Thank
grand,
you.
The grand opening is September 1st.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be open at 8 a.m. like we always are, but the actual grand opening piece will probably start to kick off around noon, and we hope to have music that entire 8-hour period with just brief lulls in terms of it, musicians
Noon to 8.
swapping
8
out.
or 9, yeah.
And now that we didn't really want to put the call out until we actually had the equipment on its way. So
Good to
now
go.
now we have no more excuses, and I think
Mhm.
one thing we didn't mention was the films. We're trying to focus on
Oh, right.
independent films.
Yeah, they have a big screen TV here.
Yeah, so we got that. It's actually an older big screen TV, as you can see. It's super heavy, but the speakers are all built in. It has a great sound to it. And, you know, I saw a film that the Sierra Club had played up at the YWCA about the coal industry, and I've got a contact there, and I'm told that they probably would be fine with us reshowing something like that. I know Terry did some things with films. She actually showed a Michael Moore film here at one time. So it's just, you know, finding the right people to reach out to. As Patricia said earlier, she reached out to the George Romero School in Monessen, I think they are. And they were very interested. They're just pretty busy right now
Nice.
with stuff. So, you know, anybody can reach out to us if they made a local film, you know, and we'd love to show it one night, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an art as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much.
And thank you.
So everybody come to anytime they're open, and make sure to stop in the grand opening September 1st. They are at 208 South Pennsylvania Avenue in Greensburg, and come in and have some coffee. They have many, many different kinds. Teas,
Yeah, like 50 teas,
sodas,
all loose leaf. Yeah.
anything you want. So come in and check them out. Thanks a lot.